Welcome everyone. My name is Dario and today we're going to be talking about how bad design leads to bad decisions. In order to do that, we're going to review this video from Nick Chapsas where he talks about the problem that .NET fixed, introducing an interface in the .NET Framework version 6. Let's see what he says about what is the problem, and then we will see what is the solution and why I think that's not correct.
Is good evening. And that's all there is to it. Now, many people will see this and say, yeah, this is absolutely fine. And many other people might say, oh, you should use UTC now here. That's irrelevant, it doesn't matter. I'm just talking about time in general here. So you might assume that this is fine, but the truth is, this is not. This actually has a hard dependency here on something related to your machine. In the same
Okay, so this is where he contradicts himself, and starting with a bad premise, I don't know where the result is going to go. But I will tell you, if you use datetime now, you are creating a dependency on the server that the code is going to be running. That's correct. But if you use UTC now, you're not creating any dependency. And depending on what you're trying to do, it's perfectly fine. UTC refers to a time zone that never changes. Some countries have daylight savings, like the UK, or Argentina, or Australia. Time changes, so that's why you should not rely on datetime now. There are many other reasons. For example, datetime now, if it's being used in a server in Australia and the actual user that is interested in the time lives in America, definitely there's going to be a difference. So the problem is not about the UTC now or now, it's about using a static method, and that is what he's going to say now.
way that you would have a dependency to a database or an external API or your hard drive or something in the network. This thing over here is very, very problematic, and I'm going to show you why. If I go to my unit tests, as you can see here, I'm using XUnit.
So the problem that he's going to show here is that he cannot test correctly something, and this is where bad design leads to bad decisions. If you want to be able to test your code, probably what the thing that you need to do is actually create the right interfaces. Let's take a look at a way that you can actually test this code without any problem. If I go to my greeter service and instead of creating the datetime now here inside the method, I pass a datetime offset, I can do the same logic and greet for morning, afternoon and evening, and I can test and check whether my code and the logic is correctly. So the problem here was the design of the code was incorrect. Now, the problem is that Microsoft lately has been following a lot of trends that are on the internet. People asking, oh, I cannot unit test this because I don't have an interface, or this and that. I'm going to show you something that the creator of C++ said 20 years ago. He refers about invariants and when you should have a class. He's been asked when you should have a class that can be instantiated, and he says that the rule of thumb is that you should have a real class with an interface. He's talking about methods, not an interface that you can implement, and a hidden representation if and only if you can consider an invariant of the class. They ask what is an invariant, and he explains that is what allows you to say when the object is in a good state or not. Then he actually shows a good example on why data methods are usually static. And this is where I think that we are failing to provide something meaningful. The reason that data methods are statics are completely valid. Our design has to be focused on making things as close to real life as possible, not as testable as possible. So introducing an interface just for the sake of testing, it's a bad mistake from Microsoft. I also use an iDatem provider that returns UTC now. Yes. Is it good? Probably not. I don't know. But saying that introducing this interface fixes a problem, I think is not correct. Let's take a look at what the interface that Microsoft introduced says. Basically, the interface has a single property that says UTC now. I think that has more properties because I implemented a single interface from a different interfaces that were around. But this interface, ISystemClock, basically what it does, it retrieves the current time on UTC, and if you see the interface definition, is there just to facilitate testing. And that is wrong. Interfaces are meant to be created to define behavior, not to facilitate testing. So I wonder and I ask, why Microsoft do you do this? And I asked to Nick, do you think actually that having and calling it a statics method is a problem? We should not use static methods at all? Everything should be injected with interfaces? I think that we should reconsider how we design our code. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Happy coding, everyone.